Hi, and welcome to our next summer Bible study here at Trinity. I'm Eric. I'm the pastor here.
Hi, and I'm Deacon Erin. I'm his wife, but I'm here today a little bit in my capacity as Deacon of Baptized Living in the Northeastern Ohio Synod, and mostly in my capacity as a member at Trinity.
Yeah, and very thankful that she has taken the time to be with us today. We're just going to look at two of the readings for this coming Sunday, because there's enough in those. And so I will start with the reading from Romans. I do not understand my own actions, for I do not do what I want, but I do the very thing I hate. Now, if I do what I do not want, I agree that the law is good. But in fact, it is no longer I who do it, but sin that dwells within me. For I know that the good does not dwell within me that is in my flesh. For the desire to do good lies close at hand, but not the ability. For I do not do the good I want, but the evil I do not want is what I do. Now, if I do what I do not want, it is no longer I who do it, but sin that dwells in me. So I find it to be a law that when I do... goodness, I'm going to try that sentence again. So I find it to be a law that when I want to do what is good, evil lies close at hand. For I delight in the law of God in my inmost self. But I see in my members another law, at war with the law of my mind, making me captive to the law of sin that dwells in my members. Wretched person that I am, who will rescue me from this body of death? Thanks be to God through Jesus Christ our Lord. Not a very happy reading.
It's very Paul.
It is very Paul.
It's a lot of grammar.
Yeah.
I expect translating this one is a doozy because so much of it hinges on commas and prepositions and things like that, which are not in the original anyway.
Well, the prepositions are, but not the commas, yeah.
Right, but I mean all the different,
Yeah.
I also think it's a bit weird. I think, sitting here trying to follow this, that what he's saying is, I want to do what is good and right all the time, but I'm just not doing it.
Yeah.
Which, on one hand, okay, yes, I think most of us want what is good, but we want to want what is good. That's not the same thing as wanting what is good. He seems to be implying that, oh yes, if we had our way, we would all be doing the good all the time, but I'm pretty sure it's the other way around. That, actually we don't want to do.
So your argument with Paul in this particular one is he is optimistically reading his own desires.
Yes, it's only if his mind had its way, he would totally do the right thing all the time,
Yep.
and it's just that pesky body getting in the way. And certainly that is sometimes the case. I was outside weeding today, and it was incredibly muggy and hot,
Yes.
and I want to plant these seedlings appropriately, but gosh, it is hot out here, and I do not want to be out here doing it any longer than I have to be, right? So my being a physical person is getting in the way of planting perfectly or whatever.
Yeah.
But so often...
Even that is an optimistic reading of what's happening.
Right. I mean, I also want to be I want to be comfortable. And that's not just the distinction of the whole mind and body as if they're separate and if we can distinguish them and one is all good.
It's very Greco-Roman philosophy.
Right. It is just... I mean, I think Paul is probably more nuanced in other places.
Yeah. But for writing to Christians in Rome, who would have been mostly Gentiles, this kind of hard division between the mind and the body would make a lot of sense to them, philosophically.
Sure. Philosophically, yes. Practically, it kind of seems
also, by
like
the way, just to make sure that I'm not holding up Greco-Roman philosophy as the appropriate model for anything, because they would have also said that the human soul is in fact male, and when the soul escapes the body, it becomes male, because that's what it's actually supposed to be. None of that. Also, the soul doesn't escape the body on death. That's not a Christian understanding.
Right. I mean, what we're getting into here is a lot of Gnosticism adjacent nonsense.
Yeah.
That is not, in fact, part of the bigger picture of how we understand people or God or anything in a way that is actually effective. But like, it's no wonder. I mean, particularly Paul in Romans, is famous for being wordy and hard to read out loud because it gets tangled up so quickly. And in this particular case, I think it is extra tangly because the point he's trying to make is tangly.
It is, and it's also not for us. Like, Paul, as master rhetorician, knew that he was writing to a high... Like, it's the difference between the city church and the country church in Luther's day, right? He wrote 2 services, one for use in Latin-speaking communities, the city church, and one for use in German-speaking communities, the rural congregations. And he knows he's writing to a city church. Paul does here. And so he's stepping up the philosophy and the rhetoric. Because I would simplify this passage as, I don't do the good that I know I need to do. Like, I know what I'm supposed to be doing, and I don't do it. Why? Sin.
Sure. And that's good, but that's not what he says.
I know.
Right? That reads as authentic, right? It's like we're talking about chores this morning, you know. Everybody knows that you need to do the dishes and sweep the floor and things like that. But whether we do it on any given day is a different thing.
Right. Yeah. All of those things that the doctor tells us we should be doing. Do you actually do them all? Do you even want to do them all?
Can you even do them all?
Yeah.
Right? You know, you're supposed to get X amount of exercise. That's all well and good until you're working so many hours of a day you do not have time.
Yeah.
It's not just, you know, we live in a world that makes doing all the good that we know and would like to do. Sometimes it's not possible.
Almost kind of like the sin of concupiscence, that there's so much to do that distracts us from doing all of the good stuff.
So, you know, thank goodness Jesus.
Yes, absolutely. Thank goodness Jesus.
Which is kind of how Paul ends too in the formal version of "Thank goodness Jesus," and not even Paul kind of winds down there and has to go with "Thanks be to God through Jesus Christ our Lord," because he couldn't get out of that.
Another way out of it.
He couldn't get out of that phrase or that paragraph either way.
I do want to raise up, because I think it's worth emphasizing, especially as Christian nationalism attempts to apply the law in a broad social construct. That's not Christian. That for Paul, spiritual warfare is not about making sure everybody in the world does what is right. For Paul, spiritual warfare is literally within himself.
Yes. Well, and that's very much what he's talking about here, right? None of this has to do with, I need somebody else to make me.
Yeah. I know what the right thing to do is. I'm just not going to do it because sin.
Sure, and so it's not really, I mean, it's not that the actions don't matter, because the actions do matter, but the heart and mind stuff is in fact the core.
Yeah.
And so, yes, making people do it would kind of defeat the purpose.
Right.
And might even, would create more sin.
Yes. And really does. I mean, we've tried that multiple times. Legislating faith doesn't work. Calvin tried it in Geneva, didn't work. We've tried it here in the United States with blue laws, it doesn't work. Spiritual warfare is the personal struggle. So anybody that says otherwise is misreading Paul. Hold it up.
Which, I mean, admittedly is not hard to do with Paul.
It's not.
A reading from the Gospel is from Matthew chapter 11. Jesus spoke to the crowd, saying, "To what will I compare this generation? It is like children sitting in the marketplaces and calling to one another. We played the flute for you, and you did not dance. We wailed, and you did not mourn. For John came neither eating nor drinking, and they say, 'He has a demon.' The Son of Man came eating and drinking, and they say, Look, a glutton and a drunkard, a friend of tax collectors and sinners, yet wisdom is vindicated by her deeds. At that time, Jesus said, I thank you, Father, Lord of heaven and earth, because you have hidden these things from the wise and the intelligent, and have revealed them to infants. Yes, Father, for such was your gracious will. All things have been handed over to me by my Father, and no one knows the Son except the Father, and no one knows the Father except the Son, and anyone to whom the Son chooses to reveal him. Come to me, all you who are weary and are carrying heavy burdens, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. So I'm tempted to think that this goes with the Romans reading because of the grammar.
I can see that argument.
All things have been handed over to me by the Father, and no one knows the Son except the Father, and no one knows that. Yeah, it's like Paul could have written this, but probably he didn't.
Right. Oh, goodness. Yeah. Well, and there's still, there's a playfulness here, with I came eating and drinking, John came without a drinking, neither of these are right. You say, neither of these are right. And this is hidden from you intentionally. There's some weird dancing around in here.
Well, and is Jesus participating in generation bashing, or is he kind of poking holes in it?
Right.
Right. To what will I compare this generation? It is fairly useless. But on the other hand, you have hidden these things from the wise and revealed them to infants, which might be the younger generation.
The next generation, yeah.
Right? A little bit of back and forth.
Well, and does continue in the line of the prophets of holding the current generation accountable, but saying there is hope for the next generation. Which often feels like there's no hope for this generation, which I'm not sure is the thing Jesus would actually say. But
and it's certainly not how he ends this section, right? Come to me.
Yeah.
You know, the if we're allowed to keep reading back the Paul previously, come, you're weary of carrying and trying to sort out the sin business.
Yep.
Come to Jesus. Let go of the blame game and the judgment game and the telling other people they're doing it wrong game.
Yeah.
Which incidentally is a great example of the Paul thing being a little backwards, because in fact I think we want to tell other people they're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
Very much. We're doing it right. You're doing it wrong.
Yeah. Which is what Jesus was holding the generation accountable for.
Right. Yeah. You're like kids complaining that we didn't dance to your silly dance music or whatever it is you're doing.
Yeah.
You didn't join in the game right away or respond to the question immediately, which doesn't happen to me at all ever.
Yeah, there's a lot of challenges here. Because I'm also at the spot of, I think a lot of folks in this country are weary and are carrying heavy burdens. Mm-hmm. And I'm not sure the church is helping. The church that is supposed to be Jesus in this world. I'm not sure the church is helping with that right now.
Yeah, because we want the church to be about, right living in some circles, or, imposing morals. Mm-hmm. Or we want the church to be about
affirming my particular partisan beliefs.
Or even just set aside all these things and
or have absolutely nothing to do with real life.
Come to church and do a bunch of church stuff.
Yeah, but has nothing to do with real life. Doesn't acknowledge what's going on in real life at all.
I find myself putting that next, when we think about this weariness, next to the work that I am doing, which is about reframing how we think about baptism and the work of the church as not as like a to-do list or a bunch of stuff you have to come to church and make time in your busy schedule to do, but as the way we live our whole lives.
Yeah.
And I think there can be a shift when you think about that and really internalize that, where it can become, in fact, instead of the burden of we have to save the world, we have to save the church, we have to save, our building, we have to save our traditional practices, whatever it is, we don't save things, Jesus saves. We just love God and love our neighbor everywhere we go. And that's like a big just, that's not a small just. But it's a human scale just.
Yeah, but it is the difference because like fairly early on in my career, I thought I had a lot more influence in the existence of a congregation or even our denomination than is reasonable. I'll say it that way. Than is reasonable, right? I had to learn that this yoke that Jesus places on us in our baptisms is not about saving a particular congregation or saving a particular denomination. God's church God's mission does not need any particular congregation or any particular denomination. But we are all called into participating in God's mission. Like that's, for me, that was a mindset shift. I'm going to get lost in grammar too. Sorry,
it really is.
It's a theme for that, right? That if for the future of God's mission, Trinity should close, then that's for God's mission and is holy and right. If for the future of God's mission the ELCA needs to dissolve, then for the future of God's mission that is holy and right. That I have to let go of some of these things. More practically, we know that the day will come when your congregation will no longer exist. How do we know? It's a promise from God. When Jesus returns, there will be no more congregations.
Sure, but it's not even like yes, this big picture stuff, this like institutional maintenance or congregational maintenance or whatever it looks like. But it's not even like letting go of that matters, and recognizing we can love God anywhere and everywhere matters. But it's also just the everyday life stuff. I can serve God right in front of me.
Yeah.
And I can let go of carrying the weight of all of the things.
Or just to put it into God's calling language or vocational language, you don't need to go half the world away to answer God's call. God is calling you where you are right now to be with those people.
I mean, in the classic,
in front of you.
God doesn't need your service. Your neighbor needs your love.
Right.
Your neighbor needs your service.
Yeah.
And that's still plenty big, and that's still not an easy ask. And it's not always, sorry, Paul, what we want to do. Because I think what we want to do is be in control of everything and be responsible of everything. But there is a less heavy burden, a lighter burden perhaps even, in recognizing that Jesus is Jesus and the church belongs to Jesus and therefore not us.
Yeah. Well, and I think that this is, because what I hear you talking about that's sparking thoughts in me, is that this is about determining what actually matters and what is a secondary thing.
Yeah.
That what actually matters, Jesus is taking care of. God is taking care of what actually matters. And so the secondary things are for us, and they are secondary. It's not that they don't matter.
They can be good and right and salutary and all of those things.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, well, you got to let go of having a congregation. Sorry.
Right.
No, like we're not, nobody's saying, well, I don't know, maybe somebody somewhere is probably saying that, but I am not saying that, right? And I don't know that Jesus is saying that here. It's just that it's not the entire burden of all of the everything.
Well, and also, so what is that really matters? From the Lutheran perspective, it's salvation, which is God's work, and only God's work. So Trinity can't save you. I can't save you. God has saved you. Right? And if we try and strive to be the thing that saves other people, then we've missed Jesus' yoke.
And I'm pretty sure it may be too close to lunchtime for complete coherence, but I'm pretty sure that can give life back to Trinity.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
It's not let go and now none of this matters. It's let go and hold it lightly in a way that allows us to dance.
Yeah. It lets us be creative. It gives us room to be
and
able
allows
to
us to
figure out
mourn with the mourning and be hopeful with the hopeful and do all kinds of things from a place of freedom and not from a place of burden.
Yeah. That it's an invitation to live out the salvation that has been given to us, rather than the work of trying to save ourselves or save other people.
Which might be the, have revealed these to infants.
Right.
Because infants haven't figured out all the
No.
weight of the world
No.
yet.
But this is why we discuss these things. Other thoughts on these readings?
That's what I have for today.
Awesome. Thanks for being with us. See you next time.